Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to another episode of Engineering with Shamil. And today is episode number 30, and we are going to discuss about the integration of the public address system with the fire alarm system. In my previous episodes regarding the public address system, we have discussed about this particular aspect of integration. And starting from the beginning, we have mentioned about how a fire alarm signal will actually override the public address system whenever the fire alarm is detected, whenever fire is detected. So in this episode, let us see how is that integration happening. What is the let's go deeper inside that integration. Okay, so first of all, we need to understand what do you mean by integration. So when a fire alarm system and when the public address system work together, they work together during the time of emergency. Okay, emergencies, as the name suggests, during the time of fire. In case a fire is detected, then the fire alarm will send a notification signal, and at the same time it will send a signal to the public address system saying that there is a fire. And when the public address system receives the signal, what happens is the all the emergency evacuation messages, they will override the public announcements, that is the normal public announcements. Okay, so they will be in priority during the time of emergency, and those messages will be played in the building. Okay, so this is how the fire alarm is integrated with the public address system. Now, how it works. So let us once again go on in the operation section. So how in the working logic of how a fire alarm system is integrated with the public address system. So first thing is we will check the normal mode. So during the normal time, the public address system is used for general announcements like the staff announcements, the department announcements and all. And also it is used for background music like in places like hotels, shopping malls, etc. Okay. So this is the public address side. Now, when it comes to the fire alarm side, the fire alarm control panel will be actually monitoring whether there is any fire, whether there is any situation of fire, or whether there is any situation of emergency happening around the building. So this is the normal condition in both the systems. Now, what happens when the fire is detected? What happens when the fire alarm is sent? When the fire alarm is activated? Okay, that is when the notification devices of the fire alarm system, they start blaring. They start to notify the occupants, and the fire alarm signal is sent to the public address system. What all is the scenario that is happening? So in such situations, what happens is when the fire alarm gets triggered, a signal will be sent to the public address system, and this fire alarm signal, will be overriding the public address signal. That is, the PA will override all the ongoing audio. Okay, and so that means suppose that a building is operational during a normal hours, and suddenly a fire has been detected. So the fire alarm will be activated, and the signal will be transmitted to the public address, and whatever announcements or whatever music was being played, that will be muted, and the fire alarm signal will activate, and the fire alarm messages, that is the emergency evacuation messages, will be played. Okay, now the emergency evacuation message can be of two types. One, it could be of pre-recorded. Okay, that means it could be recorded before and then played, or otherwise it could be a live announcement. That is, a person who is sitting at the control room, they can announce live saying that there is an emergency situation, or there is a fire detected at this particular floor of the building, and everyone is kindly requested to evacuate, or everyone from that particular floor needs to be evacuated. So this is what happens during the time of emergency. Now, what happens after the emergency? Now, after the emergency, what happens is the system will reset. That is, once the fire is detected and once the fire is cleared, once the situation has come to normal, the system will be resetted. That is, the fire alarm control panel will be resetted, and the PA will return to normal. Okay, so both the systems will come to the normal state. This is what happens this is what happens after the emergency. So we have seen three situations. One is during the time of normal condition. So normal condition, PA will be playing its own things, and the fire alarm system will be continuing to monitoring the situation. When the fire is detected, the fire alarm signal will be activated, and it will send a signal to the public address system, and the PA will be overriding all other audio and will start playing the emergency evacuation messages, which will be either pre-recorded or live messages. After the emergency situation, what happens is the fire alarm system control panel will be resetted. That is, it will come back to the normal state once the situation will be clear, and it will come back to normal state by resetting. And once the system is reset, then the public address system will come back to the normal state. So this is the operation of the integration aspect of between the fire alarm system and the public address system. Now, what are the integration methods involved between the fire alarm system and the public address system? So let us see, let us go through those integration methods. So the first method is hardwired interface. That is, hardwired interface is nothing but is actually a direct physical connection between the FACP and the public address system. Now, what does this mean? So in this, what happens over here is, here, in case, for example, the fire alarm control panel will be having a voice evacuation part also, voice evacuation components. So they will be having their own emergency evacuation messages. Okay. So in such situation, if there's a requirement like that, what we can do is we can actually send the evacuation messages which is there inside the fire alarm control panel, and the same evacuation messages can be sent to the public address system. So the public address system will be playing the evacuation messages which is there, which is stored in the fire alarm control panel. For this, we need certain components for the communication purpose, and this can be achieved through hardwired interface. So this is about the integration aspect for the hardwired interface. Okay, this is number one. Number two, that is the relay contact. Relay contact is where the public address system, again, it is again the integration aspect, that is the fire alarm system is connected to the public address, but here the public address system will be having its own emergency evacuation message, and they will be transmitted to the entire building. Okay, they will be transmitted to the building during the time of an emergency or during the time of fire. Okay, so in such situations, this is possible. Okay. So this is where the relay contact will work. So fire alarm, if the fire alarm panel has no voice evacuation components, that's when this part is applicable. Then the second part, then the last button is the network integration, network or software integration. Here we actually use the Ethernet cables and all for the communication purpose. So it's basically a digital communication between systems. So in addition to sending a signal, we can actually know which place is having the alarm, which place is having the fault, and all other additional details. Okay, which can be possible through the network or software. So this is like an advanced communication, advanced integration method when compared to the previous two, that is the hardwired interface and the relay contact. Okay, normally, most commonly in many of the places, the first two methods are accepted. The first two methods are the ones which client usually asks. Now, in case if there's a special requirement that it should be network integrated, then that time we have to consider this. Okay, so that's like, it's a bit expensive because there is some additional components which are involved with regards to the networking, part or the software related part. So that there will be a cost impact as well. So that cost impact has to be considered when you are actually proposing a network solution. So this is about the integration methods which are involved for the integration between the fire alarm and the public address system. Now, what are the key benefits? What are the key benefits of the integration? So the key benefits are, first one is the automatic response. So what do you mean by automatic response? That is, no human intervention. That is, the human beings need not be involved for the integration between the fire alarm system and the public address system. Okay, it happens automatically. That is, when the fire is detected, then the public address system will start playing the evacuation messages, emergency evacuation messages. So it's instant action takes place, and there's no need for humans to, there's no need for an operator to intervene in this communication. The second one is clear instructions. Clear instructions as in, we have a set of pre-recorded voice messages. We got pre-recorded evacuation messages. So if you have the pre-recorded evacuation messages, this can actually serve, what do we say, reduce panic. Okay, because it's already, because the messages are clearly mentioned, clearly written, and they are clearly communicated to the occupants, so that there won't be any confusion when it comes to the escaping the building, when it comes to evacuating the building. The third one is live overriding. As I said before, there are two types of announcements. So one is the pre-announcement that we have discussed already. The second type is the live announcement. That is, an authorized personnel, they can make an announcement during the time of fire. The fourth aspect is the code compliance. That is, the integration of the fire alarm system with the public address system is recommended. It's not recommended. It is required for some codes. It's required by fire and safety codes. Okay, so it is a necessity that we have to do an integration between the fire alarm system and the public address system. The last aspect is targeted evacuation. That is, in case of the multi-zone systems, which I have discussed in the previous video. In the multi-zone systems, in case if you need to go for targeted evacuation, that is, this particular zone, the occupants need to evacuate. For such situations, we can select that particular zone, and then we can instruct the occupants over there to escape from that building, to escape from the vicinity of the fire. So these are the benefits. So first benefit is automatic response. The second benefit is clear instructions. The third one is live override. The fourth one is code compliance, and the fifth one is targeted evacuation. Okay, so these are the key benefits of the integration. Now, to explain once again, we will just go through the working logic once again. So between working logic for the integration aspect once again. So during normal condition, the public address system will be playing the music or announcements, and the fire alarm system will be monitoring. During the fire alarm activation time, a signal, that is the fire alarm signal, will be sent to the public address system, and the public address system will override all the audio related messages, audio messages that is being played during the time of normal condition. And during this time, the emergency evacuation messages will start playing. Okay, and what happens during the restoration period? That is, once the situation becomes normal, then the system will reset and the public address will come back to the normal state. So this is just a brief explanation of what we had discussed earlier. Okay, so what we had discussed earlier, it's the same thing about the integration of the fire alarm system with the public address system. So we will just briefly go through the code requirements. We are not mentioning which clause is it and all. So that I will leave to the audience to actually go through the clause and all. So here in NFPA 72, in NFPA 72, there is a requirement which says that the fire alarm system must interface with the public address for voice evacuation. Whereas in many local codes, it mentions that the voice evacuation is required in many building types. So it's just general information, but the requirement is still there. Okay, so it's there in the NFPA 72. That's the Bible for the fire alarm system. And then we have the local codes as well. So in both the cases, it's mentioned that the integration is essential. So we are coming to the last slide. So to conclude, to summarize, integration is actually a communication between the fire alarm system and the public address system. So the fire alarm system will tell the public address when to deliver emergency messages. So the fire integration, it is essential. It has a benefit of automatic overriding. It gives you a clear evacuation instructions, and it is code compliant. And that's when the public address system becomes a life safety tool. Okay, so because we are using the public address system to communicate to deliver the evacuation messages. So the result of this integration is that it creates a safer environment and more informed environment for the building occupants during the time of emergencies. Okay, so with this, I come to the end of this video, and we have completed the public address systems. So this is the brief explanation about the integration of the public address system with the fire alarm system. So in case if you have any doubts, queries, feedback, questions regarding this particular topic, please do share them in the comment box, and I will be happily obliged to answer those questions. Thank you for listening. And before I sign off, I would humbly request all of you to kindly like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Engineering with Shamil, so that it will serve as a motivation for me to produce more videos related to engineering. Thank you once again, and I sign off, wishing all of you a good day ahead. Thank you.